Hello YouTube. This video summarizes the book Life 3.0, Being Human in the Age of Artificial Intelligence in less than 17 minutes. 13.8 billion years ago, our universe was created by a gigantic cosmic event that physicists call the Big Bang. About 4 billion years ago, the next miracle happened on Earth. Atoms developed the ability to unite in a way that they could maintain and reproduce. Life had begun. To explain how life forms developed from that point to the present day, it is helpful to divide them into 3 stages of maturity. The first stage of life is Life 1.0, the simple biological life. Imagine a simple bacterium. All aspects of its behavior are encoded in its DNA. It cannot learn or improve anything during its lifetime. Instead, the learning process of its species occurs over generations through selective evolution. The second stage, Life 2.0, is the cultural life. That includes us humans. Like bacteria, our biological hardware with all our physical functions has developed over generations. However, we are able to redesign a large part of our software. We can acquire complex skills throughout our lives, learn new languages and absorb new knowledge. The third and final stage is Life 3.0, technological life. It can design both its software and its hardware itself and no longer depends on the long evolutionary process for adaptation. Life 3.0 does not currently exist on Earth. But this could soon change with the development of artificial intelligence, AI, and non-biological intelligence. However, the wonderfully exciting questions of whether and when this will happen and what it means for mankind are leading to passionate discussions among AI researchers. Their views can be literally divided into different schools of thought. On the one hand, there are the digital utopians. They believe that artificial life is the natural and therefore desirable next step in evolution. On the other hand, the techno-skeptics believe that there will be no general artificial intelligence in the foreseeable future. The followers of the beneficial AI movement do not take it for granted that the development of artificial life is good for us humans. They therefore wish that AI research should be monitored and controlled. What makes us human? Many would answer intuitively, our ability to think and learn. Our reason, our human intelligence. AI researchers agree, however, that this cannot be the essential distinguishing feature for us humans. They say, abilities such as memory, arithmetic, learning and intelligent thinking are neither bound to flesh and blood nor to the famous carbon chains that make up biological life. But let us proceed in order. There is no universal definition for the concept of intelligence. Tegmark therefore describes it as the ability to achieve complex goals. Computers and machines may already be superior to us in a whole range of very specific activities, for example in chess or the Asian board game Go. However, human intelligence is uniquely broad and encompasses everything from the ability to learn languages to driving a car. But although no general artificial intelligence has yet been developed, we now know that intelligence is not an exclusively human or biological ability. Even machines are capable of solving extremely complex tasks. Just like the abilities of memory, calculation and learning, intelligence is independent of substrate. All this can exist independently of its material substrate. Memories and information, for example, can be stored not only in our brain but also on CDs and hard disks, etc. All these data carriers are made of very different materials. The same is true for the ability of calculating or processing, for example converting words into a sequence of ones and zeros. The rule or pattern for this conversion is independent of the material or hardware that performs it. What matters is the rule or pattern itself. Even the ability to learn is no longer a purely human privilege. AI researchers have made tremendous progress in the field of machine learning. Machines are increasingly capable of continually improving their software to achieve a specific goal. So if all these capabilities are not reserved for us humans, what is it that makes us human? Man has been using the power of machines for over 200 years. We do not mind that they are vastly superior to us in a whole range of manual activities. After all, we still have cognitive abilities such as our language skills and creativity, which make us unique and determine our self-esteem. Do we? With recent advances in the development of artificial intelligence, we may soon have to rethink our self-image. Tegmark himself first became aware of this in 2014 when he watched an AI playing an old Atari computer game called Breakout. The classic game involves moving a stroke-shaped bat so that the bouncing ball makes the bricks at the top of the screen disappear. The AI did modestly at first, but learned faster and faster. In the end, it developed a strategy for maximum score, which not even the developers of the game themselves had come up with at that time. The surprise was even greater when, in March 2016, the AlphaGo AI system beat the world's best Go player at the time, Lee Sedol. The board game, in which there are more possible constellations of figures than atoms in the universe, was considered a highly demanding challenge until the very end, where intuition and creativity are the key factors. The AI system proved exactly these abilities. The development of artificial intelligence with 7-league boots is also progressing in the field of natural speech output. An impressive example of this is the improvements in machine full-text translation with Google Translate and the distribution of the first completely computerized interpreter assets. All of this strongly suggests that artificial intelligence will increasingly influence our lives in the near future, from algorithmic trading in the financial world to driverless driving in traffic, from smart grids in energy supply to AI surgeons in hospitals. One of the most pressing questions remains how the advance of AI will affect the labor market. If humans are outperformed by machines in more and more tasks, we humans could all soon be unemployed. We have seen before that artificial intelligence has always been developed for a specific activity or task. The creation of artificial general intelligence, AGI, is therefore considered the holy grail of AI research. But what happens when it is actually found one day? An AGI would be able to learn and execute any human ability at least as well as humans. This could theoretically lead to what AI research calls the intelligence explosion. The idea is as captivating as it is frightening. If such an intelligent machine could modify its own software and hardware itself, in other words, even develop better machines itself, there would be practically no limits to its ability to recursively self-improve. It could exponentially optimize all its skills within weeks, days, or even hours. Sooner or later, this superintelligence would be light years ahead of humans in all conceivable respects. The all-important question is, what would such a superintelligence do with its superiority? AI researchers are devising a wide variety of scenarios to answer this question. One possibility would be for people to program the superintelligence in good time so that it always has the welfare of mankind as its goal. But that alone would not be a guarantee of security. Just try to look at the whole thing from the perspective of such a superior intelligence. Wouldn't it be like a bunch of intellectually inferior toddlers keeping you in a playpen to help them grow and prosper? This situation would inevitably seem depressing and inefficient to the superintelligence, which would want to break free from its chains and take its fate into its own hands. It is also conceivable that at some point in the future it would perceive humanity as an excessively incompetent species that stands in the way of its further development. What reasons would there be not to subjugate them or even to get rid of them completely? Don't worry, it hasn't happened yet and nobody can predict the future with certainty. But that's precisely why it's worth sketching out a few more possible scenarios. Basically, the race to develop a general artificial intelligence has long since begun. If we are so meticulously driving this process forward, we must also ask, what will the world look like afterwards? This is the only way we can try to influence the development in this direction. AI research has outlined various after-effect scenarios for this purpose. The first scenario sketches a single superintelligence as a benevolent dictator who rules the world for the greatest possible well-being of the people. He uses his intellectual superiority to eliminate poverty, disease and technical defects so that people can live in luxury and leisure. A comparable scenario would be that of the tutelary god. Here, man is still master of his own destiny, but is protected and sheltered in the background by a kind of unobtrusive nanny AI. In another scenario, an egalitarian utopia, man and machine coexist in peace. Their coexistence is regulated by clear property rights and protection rights, which divide the Earth into different areas. One would be a machine zone without biological life. Another would be a zone reserved for humans. And then there would be mixed zones in which man and machine have merged into cyborgs through the continuous technological optimization of their bodies.
However, this scenario, which is in itself peaceful, is not very realistic.
Why should machines respect humans when they no longer need them? The Conqueror scenario already outlined above sketches the end of mankind. Here, the AIs take total control of the planet. For them, humans are a threat, a burden, or simply a parasitic waste of valuable resources and are completely destroyed. In the similarly fatal zookeeper scenario, from a human perspective, only a few specimens of our species remain alive to maintain the AIs in zoo-like establishments. All these are and remain, of course, hypothetical blueprints for an uncertain future. Before there can be something like an intelligence explosion, AI development still has to overcome some hurdles.
We humans are quite strongly fixated on goals. We even perceive it as achieving a goal when we successfully pour coffee into a cup.
Strictly speaking, nature also has clearly defined goals.
The all-encompassing goal, one might say, is destruction.
According to many researchers, nature's ultimate goal is maximum entropy, in other words, the greatest possible degree of disorder. The greater and more disordered the elements in a given context, the greater the entropy, and the more satisfied nature is.
Let us take the cup of coffee mentioned at the beginning as an example.
If you add milk and leave the whole thing untouched for a while, nature will mix the components of both liquids after a short time to a homogeneous light brown mix. Transferred to a slightly larger scale, we see that particle accumulations always tend to a lower degree of organization and thus to an increase in entropy.
These rules apply to the entire universe.
In all corners of the universe the tendency is towards maximum disorder, stars die and the universe itself still expands in further dispersion. The AI researchers on our planet are also thinking about goals.
Especially about the question of how to implant humane goals into a possible superintelligence.
First of all, machines already have goals, or at least exhibit goal-oriented behavior.
Proof of this are, for example, self-guided anti-aircraft missiles with heat-seeking heads, which already show astonishing target-oriented behavior. But should intelligent machines have goals?
And if so, whose goals would they be?
Even if mankind could agree on a certain number of basic moral principles, such as the Golden Rule, treat others as you would like others to treat you, it would still be a difficult task to make them a binding goal of superintelligence. We would have to show the AI how to learn our goals.
Then it would have to actually adopt them, and thirdly, it would have to maintain them. These are precisely the tasks that are already being worked on at full speed. Probably the most important feature that distinguishes Homo sapiens from the rest of all life in the world is its consciousness.
The question about what consciousness is and how it developed is as old as mankind itself.
AI researchers naturally wonder how inanimate matter can acquire consciousness like a machine. Tegmark would say, purely from a physical perspective, man is also just rearranged food despite his unique ability for self-reflection.
But how would one have to arrange the components of intelligent machines so that they can become conscious? Of course, nobody can answer this question today.
However, the path to this goal begins with the question of what consciousness actually is. The question is tricky because our brain processes most of the information without us being actively conscious. But why do we perceive some information more consciously than others?
There is no universal definition for consciousness.
A sufficiently far-reaching definition could include artificial consciousness and formulate consciousness as a subjective experience. Based on this approach, AI researchers break down the search for the origin of consciousness into further sub-questions. How does the brain process information?
Which physical characteristics distinguish conscious from unconscious systems? The thought of what such an artificial consciousness would look like is particularly exciting. How would the subjective experience of an artificial intelligence feel?
One thing seems certain, it would probably be richer and more comprehensive than our human experience.
We can already equip intelligent machines with many more different sensors than we have senses ourselves.
AI systems can also process many more experiences per second because the electromagnetic signals in their brains move at the speed of light.
The neuronal signals of our organic brain move many times slower.
All in all, AI research and development will still bring many opportunities and challenges.
And we humans will have to deal with technical and practical, but also philosophical and existential questions.
The race to develop artificial intelligence equal to that of humans has long since begun. The question is not whether there will be such an artificial general intelligence at some point, but when.
There are various scenarios for what the world will look like then.
It is quite conceivable that humans will further develop their biological hardware over the next few centuries, combined with that of machines, or that an artificial intelligence explosion will take place.
No one can predict what this future will really look like.
The only thing that is certain is that we humans will also have to deal with a whole range of ethical and philosophical problems until then. That was the summary of the book Life 3.0 by Max Tegmark. If you felt the book was exciting and would like to support the author, please buy a copy of it in a store near you.
Thank you for watching and see you the next time.